So Mzamo,
Yes.
thank you for coming along for this discussion on basically maritime studies and how it's operating within the school, college, university context. And so why don't we start off with you telling us a little bit about yourself and how it is that you landed up becoming the maritime teacher that you have become.
Yeah. My name is Mzamo, but known as Dio. I went to a high school in Folweni called Isolemamba. And then there was this guy who came there for career day, because we normally had career day when we were doing grade 12. So he taught us about maritime, and then it started to interest me. And then also where I stay is next to a Sepingo. So there's a ship that always comes there, and I don't see what that ship is doing there. But now I know what the ship is doing.
Okay.
Yeah, because, so that ship will come and it will have draft, a very high draft and a very low freeboard. And then when the time the ship is leaving, it'll have a lot of a freeboard, so high freeboard. So I'll ask myself, why? What are they doing there? But this is so interesting. One day I want to be there. So that's where I started with this passion of a maritime. So I asked this guy on the side after exhibition, where did you end up? How did you end up where you are? He told me that there's a DUT and CPUT where you could do maritime studies.
Oh, it's also at Seaport, eh?
Yeah, and Cape Town.
And at Cape Town as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so he told me, I asked about the requirement, he told me the requirement. I gained interest. So I went straight there to apply. That's when I end up in doing maritime studies.
So you only heard about it in grade 12?
In grade 12.
Career interview, and then you decide, no, I'm going to do this, it's for me. I need to understand how these ships are going higher and lower, what else going on in Sipingo, right?
Yeah.
And then you go to DUT?
I went to DUT, and then when I get to DUT, there's two streams. There's seagoing and shore base.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's seagoing and shore base. So seagoing, I'll say nautical studies nowadays. Yeah, shore base is like a business side of maritime. So I did seagoing because I wanted to go to sea.
But what experience did you have?
I didn't have any experience.
And then did DUT say they would offer you experience? I mean, because it's expensive, surely. You could, or it's difficult. You can't just. How do you get seagoing experience?
So I went there for content only. So for experience, I'll have to find my own experience on the side.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I went there for content. I gained the content. I did my S1 and S2, and then luckily there was a company that came into DUT because I started there 2010. By 2012, there's a company called, it used to be Smith Amandla, but now it's AMSOL.
AMSOL?
Yes.
AMSOL?
Yes.
Okay.
So they came to do interviews for those who are doing seagoing. So that's where I started applying. So we did our interviews and we were selected.
Did they have fitness requirements? Did they come in and say, hey, listen, you've got to be... Look, I've been interviewing some of the lecturers. Who are your lecturers at DUT?
Leon Governor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because we've been interviewing the lecturers.
Yeah.
And they've been saying the students need to understand that if you're doing the seagoing stuff, it's physically demanding.
Yeah, they've been mentioning that at the beginning of our course. They've been mentioning that at the end we need to do medical. Medicals are when you go to SAMHSA, ask them to do the checkups for the requirement of you saying you are qualified to go to sea. So you don't have a TB, you don't have anything that is,
But you don't do a fitness test or something like that, eh?
No, it's a medical fitness.
So it's not like getting into the army or...
No, it's not like getting to
Okay.
the army. It's like a medical, you're checking for all the medical issues that you have. So saying you get a TB, you have TB, so they'll give you that 6 months for treatment. Then you need to treat it first before
What
you
about
go to
swimming?
sea. We do swimming.
Do you have to be able to swim?
I'm telling you, I have like 24 certificates that you do before you go to sea. They call them pre-sea courses. So before going to the sea or before joining the ship, you still need to do courses that will take you on board the ship.
But now, that's not for DUT to do.
That's not for DUT. That's for the company that hires you.
Oh, so that's how it works.
So we started with interviews, and then they put me on a program under SAMSA, where we go to SA Agulhas 2, SA Agulhas 1, SA Agulhas 1 for training, cadet training. So we went there.
Where's that, in Cape Town?
Yeah, it's in Cape Town.
Isn't that like a military... Is it a military base?
It's not a SA Agulhas.
Yeah.
It's not a military base. It's a training ship. So you get cadets who goes there for 12 months training, and then after that they go to merchant ships.
So you get a chance to go for an experience on a training ship?
On a training ship. So that is South African owned ship.
And do you go out to sea, or do you park off in the harbour and pretend to train?
My first voyage, we went to London.
What?
We went to London from Cape Town, yeah. I met King Charles. He was a prince at that time.
So
That's my first ever voyage trip.
Wow.
Yeah, so we went to London. We were fetching guys of expedition because we were taking them to Antarctica.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
a scientist, yeah.
On the Agulhas?
On their guys.
And is that an icebreaker ship at the same time, or not?
It's not an icebreaker, it's ice strengthened. There's a difference between
okay.
icebreaker and ice strengthened. So it has a strength to cut off ice, but it's not an icebreaker.
So it can get you so far,
Yes.
and it's safe in kind of icy
kind of
waters,
ice,
but it
yes.
can't get you like
Yeah.
to the North Pole.
To the North Pole now.
Okay, okay.
So yeah, that was my first ever voyage. And we came back to Cape Town. We had this SABC.
But let's stay with your voyage.
Okay.
So now, before you go on this voyage, you had to do all these pre-certificates,
courses,
right?
yeah.
And there's like 20 of them.
It's like a lot of them. But before that voyage, I think I had to do 10. And then after, I'll do another one.
Okay. And so now you do these pre-courses, and then when you actually on the ship,
Yeah.
what are your, because I mean, it's not a sailing ship, it's, you know, so you don't have to learn. I mean, I've got friends who've done it on sailing,
Yeah.
and that's
That's
hectic.
a motor ship. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you at least, you know, you're on a big ship,
Yeah.
and it's fairly safe in the waters and all that kind of stuff. What were your duties and responsibilities when you were on the ship?
Yeah, so when I studied in DUT, I did deck or navigational side. There's two departments, two main departments rather. That's navigation and engine. So I did navigation. So the main guy in the navigation is the master.
Okay.
So whatever we do, we report straight to the master. But because we are cadets, we have a training officer who's a designated training officer, who's a chief mate. So whatever we do, or whatever job that we need to do, it comes from the chief officer. So we understudy the master.
Okay.
So they doing navigation now watch. We go on watch. There's 3 watches. There's a third mate's watch, there's second mate's watch, and there's a chief mate's watch.
And what's the difference between the 3?
So the third mate's watch is from 8 to 12. So 8 to 12 in the morning, and also 8 to 12 in the evening.
Okay.
Yeah, so second is from 12 to 4. 12 to 4 midday, and also
Ouch. 12 to 4 in the morning.
yeah.
Hard
And
one.
the chief one is 4 to 8.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And on the watch, what have you got to do?
the watch, you obviously doing a lookout, listening to whatever that might be, obstructions. So
Are you using any
iceberg,
extra technology? Are you just using your eyes, binoculars? Like, are you using radar or?
we have radar. You also have binoculars if you need to use them, and there's a chart you need to keep track of.
Is that a physical chart?
Yeah, there's a physical chart and also electronic chart.
And the way that I understand it is the physical charts, are they becoming outdated now, or are they still very important in terms of the work that you do?
It is very important, I'll say, because it involves two parties rather than the electronic one. It only works electronic, but this one involves two parties, which is a human and also it is a chart. So we still do plot our position on the paper chart.
And that's quite hard, eh?
Yeah, it is hard if you don't know about the content, but if you study it, it's okay.
Okay, so now you're doing navigational watch understudy, right?
Yeah, I'm understanding the officer of the watch at that particular time.
And then, was that all that you did, or did you have other duties whilst you're on the ship?
I do have other duties as well to maintenance of the ship. Remember, the ship is sailing at sea. Sea is very corrosive, so you need to look out.
So you're a deckhand as well. You're cleaning, you're scrubbing.
Yes, we're cleaning, we're scrubbing, we're painting as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're doing that. So you're working 8 hours on your shift, your two shifts, right?
Yeah,
that's
8 hours and then 2 hours.
2 hours.
That'll be 10 hours. Yes.
And then the rest of the time?
The rest of the time you study, because remember you're still a cadet here, and you still need to learn stuff. So you still need to keep track of your education. So you study, you go to the library, because the ship have a library. So you go to the library, learn, ask officers, learn the ship. You need to learn your ship. So it takes time to learn your ship.
How did you get onto that? Isn't it hard to get onto that program? Or more recently, isn't it hard now that there's more people
I'll say it's hard now because when that program starts, we were the first one. Yeah, we were the first one. So it was quite easy when they piloted. We were the first one to be in, and
Okay, so you go to England, you meet Prince Charles. You come back. And you've got some seagoing experience, and then how does it go from there?
Yes, you mean after?
After you've developed enough seagoing experience to actually get the...
because that wasn't the only ship that I went in. I also went to a tugboat, which is a Smita Mandla, also from AMSO, and also joined, but that one was different experience as well. So, because we were doing towing there.
Okay.
Yeah, we were doing towing.
And where were you doing towing? In Cape Town Harbour or Durban? Or?
At that particular time, Smita Mandla had contracts with SAMSA to look out for any ship that is in distress around Cape Town. Yeah, so we will just... But the other time I was in a restaurant, eating, having good fun with my friend Andile, and we got the message, the call out. We had to run. But it was quite nice. I don't want to lie to you.
So you've done tugboats, you've done the gallus, and you said even some other types of ships as well.
Yes, I went to a container ship as well, with a C-span owned ship, where we did a China-America voyage. Yeah.
Ooh.
Containers.
How did you get to China? So do you go up the kind of Eastern African coast, or do you just kind of go straight to China?
From America, or?
Oh, were you going from America?
Yeah, we were going. That ship, CSAV Lonkomina, was doing China, America, so via Atlantic Ocean, via Pacific.
Pacific, so you went on the Pacific Ocean.
We were on the Pacific Ocean.
Man.
So we're doing that voyage, which was really good. I gained a lot of experience on the cargo. Remember, that was my first time in a cargo ship, so a lot of work in ports, a lot of work at sea, so commercial pressure. it was a push for me to understand shipping. Yeah.
Oh, really? Because it had so many other logistical things involved, because it was a cargo ship.
Yeah. So
you're not just pulling a ship in or
just,
going to see Prince Charles
you understand.
on a training. You actually
so there's an operation going on here. Yeah.
So that's when you learned some of that more logistical side.
Yes.
So, and how long is a trip from America to China?
America to China will take us 15 to 16 days.
And the sea conditions?
Oh, up and down, you get...
Like how badly up and down? Like fine? Or like, I've seen some footage of those cargo and it's terrifying.
Telling you get like a 20-meter swell, which is very bad, But yeah, we survived.
Were you ever scared? Were you ever like thinking...
I think when I get there, I was okay.
Yeah.
I was scared when we did when I was first joining Agalis. So that was the first time I got seasick.
Oh.
Yeah. I got seasick. I was so scared of sea when I first started.
Oh, really?
But when I get there at Seaspan, I was okay. I was strong.
So by that stage you had your sea legs?
Yeah.
Do you still get seasick or are you fine?
Seasick, that thing, you can get seasick again and again.
You just used to it
now? Yeah, I'm used to it.
You're used to vomiting in the toilet every now and then.
You vomit in the toilet, you don't eat for 2 days, it's quite a challenge, but yeah.
So now you've got all this experience and it's now expanding.
Yeah.
You've got cargo experience, you're starting to get insight into the logistics of what happens when you're transporting cargo like that, what the demands in the harbors are. You've been to America, you've been to China, you've been to England.
UK, yeah.
You like on your way. Okay, so now you're getting all this experience. Keep telling what happens.
So when I was, because I came back from CSAV Long Comina, which is a Seaspan-owned company, owned ship, then I went back to school. When I was there, remember I was still waiting for a call to go back to sea.
Okay.
Yeah, because you get an email or you get a call. So I heard that there's this school that needs a teacher. And this guy...
See, this is a familiar story.
And this guy who was a teacher there happened to go back to sea.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, I need to touch on this one as well, because that's what drives me to go to teaching. So in the Agalas, we have classes where we do where we do teaching and learning. So the senior officer will come and teach us simulation. There's a simulation. So you will obviously go and do the plotting.
Simulation where they pretend you're going to a spot and you actually do it at night, and you've got to do it under different conditions.
Yeah. So there's senior cadets there. They are senior cadets and there are also junior cadets. So that particular time I was a junior cadet, I was a senior cadet. So I had to help junior cadets who had just joined the ship. So that's when I realized that, this is my passion. I love teaching. So that's when I gained the passion. So when I get this opportunity to go for this school, so I just grabbed it and said, okay, that's me.
Now, at the school, were they teaching nautical science or was it maritime economics?
Only maritime at that time. I think nautical.
There's not many schools that offer nautical science. I think
there were two. There were only 2 schools that were offering nautical studies. Yeah. So, when I get there, it's maritime economics. I'm like, I wonder what is that. I know the first name, which is maritime. Economics. What is happening there? Yeah. But anyway, I took a book from Elena, because they were distributed to Elena. I said, okay, bring me a book. I said, let me take a look at it. I saw stuff that I'm familiar with. I'm like, okay. I think I can touch base on this, yeah. So I started there, I got 100% with AJ Mwelase, but it was difficult, I'm telling you. That's a school in Township.
Oh, yeah?
You know,
Which township?
Lamontville.
Okay.
Yeah, I started there.
Okay,
Yeah.
so now, how did they start off with Maritime? Why do you think they did Maritime as their... why did they introduce Maritime? Any idea?
Yeah, the principal there told me that when the government, I'll say government HODs, when they asking for school to join Maritime Economics, you know,
there was a big push at one stage to get it done, and so he was entrepreneurial and he decided to go for it.
Yeah, because you get a laptop, so you know, principals they
were throwing money at it.
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
yeah, they got it there.
Okay,
they got it there.
So now you land up there, you land up teaching Maritime Economics, you land up doing really well, the 100%. I assume you mean your kids got 100% pass rate?
Yeah, so it wasn't easy though, because you know that's a township, and school, the kids are not motivated. You still find that you have 20 learners out of 30, you know, 10 of them are not at school at that particular day, so it's quite difficult. And
why are they doing Maritime Economics? I mean, have they got the same story as you? Oh, I was parking off in Isipingo and I saw this boat and I was wondering about how it worked, and like I've got this interest, you know. Or
I did ask one of them, why are you doing Maritime? They say, we hate geography. That's why we're doing Maritime.
Yeah.
So I had to start and rebuild what is, and tell them what is Maritime, and maybe I'll get 1 or 2 learners who are interested, who can find interest in the subject. You know, telling them about my career and about my experience, it really changed them drastically. So we ended up having classes on Saturdays and Sundays. So that's when I started and say, they're appreciating what I'm giving them, and then why am I going back to C? Let me just push, because I know this is what I want, and I'm doing it now.
And so now you're teaching in Maritime Economics, and you're doing the matrics. Obviously, you're getting
grade 10, 11, 12.
You're getting a good pass rate, which is working well.
Yeah.
What happens to the learners? Have you tracked any of the learners after school? Because I'm assuming hardly any of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to be a history teacher.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I taught history for years. None of my kids became historians. I don't have any kids who I can make a claim, you know, they did history, now they become historians.
Yeah.
But Maritime Economics, it is pushing you towards some kind of career in Maritime. Do you have any idea if the kids take it on, or does it kind of disappear and they go do something else?
So I will definitely ask my learners, what do you want to do when you leave school? So those who are interested in Maritime, obviously I'll keep check on them only, because that's where I'm pushing. So yeah, I have quite a few. One is doing shipping and logistics in DUT as we speak.
Okay.
And then one, that's the guy who just joined a ship. So he did nautical, also in DUT. And I have another one also who's in CPUT. That's a lady who's doing marine engineering. So yeah, I keep track on them.
Okay.
Especially if you're telling me that you will be continuing with Maritime.
Yeah.
Yeah, because not all of them. Some are going for medicine. You know.
Obviously.
Obviously. Yeah.
Okay. So that gives us a good first kind of insight into your story. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move into like doing a couple of. We just want to get an idea of what it's like to teach.
Okay.
In these different zones. So we're going to do a little bit of simulated teaching. And then once we've done that, we're going to talk more in detail about what the curriculum looks like and what the teaching strategies are and how you assess in these areas.